Hey guys, it is June 7th, and I'm here at the church getting ready for you tonight. Just in case you aren't able to make it, I am recording this. I'm putting it on YouTube so that you can stay up to date with us. We are practicing social distancing. We're going to meet outside tonight. Next week, well, let me just show you the calendar. You should have received a calendar from me. Looks like this. It came in a text earlier today. Tuesday of this week, we're going to do a God Friended Me marathon from 6:30 to 8:30. If that doesn't make your boat float, then you can paint rocks, you can play games. The Wii will be taken because we'll be using it for God Friended Me, but you can do other things as well. Just you'll have to stay in the building. And then on Thursday, from 6:30 to 9, we're going to watch War Room. It's a 2-hour movie. It's a great movie. So I hope to see you guys there. And then next Sunday, we're going to meet at the Grimmett's house, and we're going to do a swim party. But for now, let's do our lesson. There we go. You should be seeing what I'm seeing. I did this whole thing earlier and realized that I had the calendar up the whole time and nobody saw what I was working on. So last week we started a series about the responsibilities of our blessings. I have been reading through 1st and 2nd Chronicles, which you may say, ooh, that's really boring. But it's actually pretty interesting once you break it down. These kings who were blessed tremendously would take their wins and become self-reliant and less God-reliant, and time after time after time, generation after generation after generation, these kings fell flat on their face. And because they gave up, or they took control from God and they tried to do their own thing, they failed. So it got me thinking about our blessings. And when we have blessings, and we have so many blessings, we are responsible for those blessings. So last week we talked about the church. There have been many, many generations before us that have followed Christ and spread the good news. And because they did that, we still have the church. Our parents were probably pretty influential in our faith. It is now our job to turn that around and pass that on to the next generation. So this week we're going to talk about time, and it is our most valuable resource. As long as we have time, we can make more money, we can find more food, but time is what restricts all things. And even though we think we have all the time in the world, we really have a limited amount of time. And it's easy to overlook this blessing in our lives. So I want to go through 3 or 4 points. And the first point is that you see your time as a gift from God. The first thing we should be doing every morning when we wake up, you have that time in between actually waking up and getting out of bed, taking the big move into life for the day, where you need to sit and you need to just think and thank God for the blessing of having the day. God has given us life, and time is one measurement of that. It is a gift, and tomorrow is not guaranteed. So I've got a continuum on the screen, and on one side is busy, 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 busy. I don't have time for anything else on my calendar because I go, 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 go. That's wrong. On the far other end of the continuum, you've got somebody who's bored all the time, has nothing to do. You might consider them lazy, and it's easy to fall into that mind frame right now since we're out of school and we're limited with the number of things that we can do. But we need to have a balance in the middle somewhere so that we are busy working for God and doing what's right in our lives and for our families and for ourselves and for our friends, and not being bored. I hate it when my kids say, "Oh, you're so bored. I don't have anything to do." You always have something to do. You may not like it, but you always have something to do. So either far end of that, not good. Somewhere in the middle, you'll have find you a happy balance. So how do we find that balance? That brings me to my second point, and that is that you need to commit your time to God. God has given you a reason. Seek out his will for what you should do with this gift of time. You guys know that I practice a daily quiet time, and you probably get tired of me saying this, but God has a purpose for you. Each and every one of you, God has a purpose that is different than your neighbor or the person beside you. So, in order to find that purpose, what do? Well, first of all, you ask God. If you never ask God, how will you ever find out what your purpose is? So here are several ways that you can find your purpose. First of all, reflect on the past. God has put certain events and certain people in your life so that you can learn from them. If you never stop and reflect about yesterday, about last week, about last month, about the years leading up to where you are right now, you'll never grow the way that God intends you to. He puts things and he puts people in your lives for a reason. We have to reflect on those and learn to be a better person from those. And to learn our God's will for us, sometimes we have to just look back and the arrows will point you in a direction. Secondly, you need to read scripture and apply it to your life. I've been doing that with First and Second Chronicles the last couple of months. And I can, even though I'm not royalty, even though I have never experienced the life that the people in the Bible experience, I am still very much in that same category that if I become too self-reliant on me, then I get prideful and I start to think, not consciously, but somewhere in the back of my mind or in my heart, that I don't need God's help anymore. And that's just not true. I should seek God's will first and then my will second. And then finally, pray. Again, quiet time every morning is so important. Not necessarily in the morning. It can be in the evening, at lunch, whenever is best for you. But it's also important not only to talk to God, but to be still and just sit in silence. Don't think about what you're going to do today or the jobs that you have lined up for you for the summer. Just think about God and let him speak into your mind. Those are so very important. So number two was set aside time for God. Number three is to set aside time for God and for others. For example, rather than praying in the morning about all the things that I've got to get done teaching every day, I should pray for God's guidance to lead me to people who may need an encouraging word. If I have students or fellow teachers or youth who are going through a rough time in life, what can I do for that person that day to encourage him or her? Doesn't matter how many things I get checked off of my to-do list. It's whether or not I made an impact in somebody's life each day. Is there somebody that I haven't talked to in a little while that I need to address today? One thing I learned from a book I read a while back is when you ask people about how they're doing, don't just say, "Hey, how you doing?" Because you're going to get a generic answer like fine or something like that. You need to ask them, "How are you doing today?" and look them straight in the eye. It will cause them to stop and pause and really reflect, well, wait, how am I doing today? What kind of conversations can you have knowing how well somebody is doing or not? I don't know what your purpose is in life, but I know that it's about somebody else. It's about doing good for other people. You've got to set time aside to do for other people. That's just God's will. You're not in this life for you. You're in this life to make things better for other people. You just have to find your way to do that. let's see, Christ was sent to earth for us to show us how to live each day. Christ only did two things, well, three things all day long. He rested. He felt that rest was important. He spoke with God to find out God's will for him. And then he influenced other people. Those are your three jobs. Rest, find out God's will for you, and influence others in positive ways. If you can be a millionaire and do that, fine. If being a millionaire is too much responsibility and it doesn't give you time to do those other three things, then you need not do them, because that's what's important in life. No Christian ever says with their mouths, I'm too busy for God. But lots of Christians say, I'm too busy for God, with their actions instead. So finally, my fourth slide, take time for your own needs. I forgot to put rest on here, but rest is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. If you ask my family what my priorities are, rest is going to be one of them. I love to sleep. I love to get a good night's sleep. I love a good nap. I go into my room, I shut the door, I put in an earplug so I can't hear anybody, and I have me a good nap on a regular basis. If I'm not rested, excuse me, if I'm not rested, I know that I will not be in a good mood. When I'm not in a good mood, I can't positively affect other people. I have to be rested. Grumpy people don't have the energy to influence others in positive ways. As a matter of fact, grumpy people usually bring other people down with them. And I am so guilty of that. If I'm grumpy, a lot of times my kids will be grumpy just because I was grumpy. And that is not what God intends. Laugh. Research shows that people who have 12 laughs a day, like good hearty laughs, stay healthy. It actually affects your brain chemistry, your immune system. You can fight disease better. You can think better because you're happy and you are showing others that you're happy. And it's just good for your spirit to laugh. Finally, have fun. Nobody likes a fun sponge, as my nephews would say. If you're taking the fun out of everything, nobody wants to be around you. Just be fun, be light, be joyful, so that you can spread those things on to others as well. So what, now what? And you may be wondering why I always do this. So what? I've heard all of your message. Now what do I do? So here's what you need to do, or what I would pray that you would do. Spend some time each day during the next week and focus on God, where God wants you to spend your time. It is not your time, it's God's time, and He has gifted it to you. So ask God, where is it that He wants you to spend your time and your energy? And then work towards that goal. And remember to not be too busy and not be too bored. Find that happy medium, because that happy medium is where you can transfer God's love to other people. I hope and pray that when you're done watching this video, you spend a few moments in silence just pondering what you've heard today, where God has maybe been tapping you on the shoulder. And I pray that you have a good week, and I hope that I get to see you guys sometime this week. A lot of times on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we just hang out and have a good time. And we always have a good time. But sometimes it has no purpose at all, or the purpose that we set out for isn't what we end up doing. So love to see you guys. God bless, and have a great week. Now I have to figure out how to stop this.